Hi, my name is Pastor Stephanie Lape. I serve at Cross and Crown Lutheran Church in Rancho Cucamonga, California. I'm so glad that you are with us today. Thanks for being here. Today, I wanted to talk about my thoughts about the coronavirus vaccine. It is now out, and more people are getting it, and people wonder what different people's opinions are. This actually came about because I preached a sermon recently, and I talked about how our identity is in Christ. And that's what Christians believe. That's what Martin Luther, who was our primary teacher and reformer that started the Lutheran Church, that's what he said. That's what I believe. And so I talked about how our identity lies in Christ and that really salvation, ultimate salvation, comes from Christ alone. So then I listed some things that don't give us salvation. And I said, politics can't save us. Medicine can't save us. And what I meant was this eternal, the big questions of salvation. So somebody asked me about my sermon and he said, what do you mean medicine can't save us? Do you think that people shouldn't get the vaccine? And I said, no, I wasn't talking about that at all. Like, that's not the realm of which I was talking. I was talking as somebody who's talking about theology, like the big questions of salvation. In terms of, can medicine save our lives? Of course it can. I mean, to me, that's like a no-brainer. I have gotten all the other vaccines in my life, as many of us have. I don't have to worry about polio or smallpox or other things because of the wonders of vaccines. If I ever have an infection of some sort, like bronchitis, then I take antibiotics. But it is important, I think, that we understand that different people have different thoughts about this. And our religions or our denominations or our ways we understand religion can influence what we want to do medically. So when I used to teach at a college, it happened to be a college that had a really large nursing program. And so I would tell the people studying to be in the medical field that it is helpful to understand some basic religious backgrounds of people so that you can know then their medical preferences. So for instance, some people believe that it is not allowed to have a blood transfusion. Some people believe it's not allowed to have surgery. Others have dietary restrictions, which can change what's going on with them medically. And so religion does play a part in that. Now, some denominations of Christianity have historically fought against science, including medicine. And if we look back over the 2,000 years of history of the Christian tradition, there has been, I consider to be, an unfortunate shadow side of our history. There's been a lot of good stuff too out of Christianity, or I wouldn't be part of it. But the shadow side part of it has to do with the combating scientists that come out. So from, much older scientists until more recent ones, we've combated, people that said that the sun was the center of our solar system. We've combated those who have said that the best science now tells us that we have evolved and our genetics and our bodies have evolved from earlier specimens of humans into who we are now, and that it wasn't just maybe 6 literal days that Genesis is referring to as the blueprint of creation, but maybe billions of years. And so a lot of Christians, not all certainly, but there has been that vocal strand of Christians that have combated what the best scientists of the era were saying. I don't believe that. I don't think we need to do that. Now, I'm one person, so I'm aware that sometimes when people hear clergy say things, people assume that they're speaking like from the mind of God, and I'm not. I'm speaking what I believe, and also I'm in a denomination of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America that holds to this as well. In our denomination, we do not fight science. We see no reason to. Now, will science get better over the years? Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we have a lot better science now than we had 100 years ago. Our medicine's always improving. We now know how to travel to space. I mean, obviously, science really improves, and I'm grateful for that. So 100 years from now, we will have a lot better science than we have now. I remember when, in the beginning of the whole coronavirus thing, we were told that we don't have to wear masks unless we were symptomatic, coughing and have a fever and so forth. And then people came out and said, you know what, it's just a good idea for everybody to wear masks because you could have this coronavirus and not be symptomatic. And there were those people who said, what, this is changing, that's not right, that's hypocrisy. But that's what science does. Science gets new data all the time and increases the knowledge and then increases what they're saying about it. And so we should expect for science to evolve and improve over time. But right now, the scientists we have now, I consider to be incredible minds given gifts by God of scientific understanding and the ability to gather systematically lots of data, analyze it, and then get it out to the public. I'm happy we have the vaccines we have. I mean, before we didn't, we had a lot more deaths of a lot of other diseases around the world. We don't have to worry about some of those diseases as long as we still keep getting vaccinated. So I'm excited to get this vaccine for COVID-19. My husband is as well. My children will be vaccinated as soon as they can as well. Not everybody agrees with me, and that's fine. We can have our different thoughts. You know, it doesn't mean that I'm any more or less spiritually attuned than anybody else. It's just we have different ways of understanding things. Part of what influences me is my siblings. I have a sister that works in a hospital in Colorado, and so she sees COVID patients all the time, and she has received both doses of the vaccine and feels totally fine, and she has said that any suffering that she might feel would pale in comparison to what she sees her patients go through. I'm also influenced by my brother, who is a scientist, and he teaches as well. And so, you know, both of them give me a lot more scientific background than what I know as a religious person. I mean, that's not my profession, but we all, my brother, sister, and I, we all are in different professions. We've all studied different things, and yet we all see that God is involved in all of this, and that these are very good things, these vaccines. Now, will they have side effects? Well, we don't quite know yet, but like Tylenol has side effects. I mean, lots of things have side effects. So you've got to weigh the pros and cons as to what it can do in terms of the good things and the side effects that you think might happen. And this is also new, and so we're just now discovering all of this. But we do know that COVID-19 can be deadly. And maybe to me, it won't be deadly because maybe I'm in the right, I don't know, age, health, whatever, that I can cope with it. But I could also pass it on to other people where it could be deadly, and I don't want to be doing that. So, in terms of science in general, you know, religion and science, I believe don't have to be combative because I think that they answer and speak to different issues. Religion speaks to issues of values, meaning, purpose, relationships, love, ethics in terms of how to treat one another. Science doesn't have language for that. You cannot put love in a test tube. You can't explore life's purpose and meaning. You can't explore intuition in the same way in a laboratory. Science doesn't calculate and measure that. You can't put God in a box and measure God and say, this is what we found in terms of the data of God. So religion has language for those things, but religion does not have the language that science has. So religion can say we have this beautiful, mythological, gorgeous story that shows all kinds of things about creation in the Garden of Eden with Genesis. It does have truth. It really does speak of truth. And yet, science has a different language to show us how we got here and how we evolved and how God actually worked in the details of our cellular structure and things like that. So I see this as two different languages that really need each other, that can complement one another. Not all religions of the world have had the history that Christianity has of fighting against science. So I don't think that we need to do that. So in terms of this vaccine anyway, I'm not fighting this one either. I'm going to get it. Not everybody will. I'm not on a quest to make everybody do what I do. I don't get to be the emperor of the world. And so if you don't want to get the vaccine, don't get it. But I do have hopes and dreams that enough of us get this vaccine that we will have a critical mass where it will dramatically start to shift what's going on in our nation, and far fewer people will be on this projected rate of death. And that will help our families of our nation, just like the polio vaccine, smallpox vaccine, and other vaccines have. So those are my hopes, my prayers that enough of us will get it because of all of the trauma, the loss, the grief, the stress, that we have experienced in less than a year. We have lost 433,000 Americans in less than a year. That's like a war. So, of course, I hope that we can get a handle on this. I think the vaccine might really be helpful in that, but not everybody feels the same way, and I'm not going to fight this with anybody, but I'm just here to say my perspective. So, I hope you discern and pray and come up with your own thoughts and opinions on that. Thank you so much for watching these videos. Thank you for subscribing. Please do subscribe if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up if you will, because that changes our YouTube algorithm and it makes us have a little bit more exposure and advertising according to the YouTube algorithm standards. Feel free to comment down below or share this with someone if you think that it's helpful. We have now reached in our YouTube channel over 300 subscribers, and we're really happy to be able to partner with all of you, to be able to get these ideas and thoughts out there. To look at Christianity and Christian spirituality in a positive way, and in a way that really enjoys dialogue and reason as well as the spiritual life. So thanks for being here. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.